Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My ex-husband and I are in our early 40s and late 30s and have been divorced for almost 3 years now. While he did not want to get divorced, we separated and have been co-parenting our 2 preteens amicably. He lives within 5 blocks of our old home, and while we have 50-50 custody, our kids freely bounce between our places and choose how they want to spend holidays. We've tried hard to create a sense of stability despite the change in our family situation and have standing tune-up therapy twice a year to make sure we're all comfortable with the arrangements. His recent partner, Maria, 29 female, has been the only one to make past the 6-month mark, and prior to this encounter, I would say that she makes him happy and is a pretty reasonable lady. She has a very sweet and precious son, 9, that we all adore, and generally I thought things were going well. I invited Maria to bring her son to my place if she would like him to join my kids in private language classes. She accepted, and this has been going on for a few weeks now. My kids adore him. Last week she said something to me that was surprising. She asked me when I would be moving my things out so that my ex and her could be able to cohabitate. I was taken aback and confused, asking her to clarify, my current home, this home, and she nonchalantly told me, "You don't need all this space for 3 people. We wouldn't have space at X's current condo." Her son looked so awful and embarrassed at this point that I was like, this conversation would need to include my ex. My kids and I live in a brownstone that my ex and I purchased together 50-50. But that I've been renovating since before the divorce. My ex lives in a nice condo that's spacious, but is still a little bit of a man cave. Later in the evening, I got a text message from her son that was pleading for me to forgive his mom, that he's sorry for his mom, and to not tell my ex. I feel awful, but I think I should let my ex know this conversation occurred and let him handle it. Would I be the a-hole if I told my ex-husband my concerns about his girlfriend? Edit. I'm the single owner of the house. My ex insisted throughout the divorce that I keep it. We do co-own his condo, though. Edit. Before our divorce, we owned both properties outright. Our divorce was very amicable. He insisted I keep the brownstone. After the divorce, I had my lawyer help me transfer the brownstone deed, and my ex signed the documents. He just never did that with the condo. I asked him a few times, and the answer's always been hand-wavy. I'm his ex-wife, not going to continue nagging him on something he's dragging his feet on. The awkward conversation happened in person. I shut it down because her son was there, and I could tell he understood the situation and felt uncomfortable. He texted me afterwards from his own phone. He's a special kid in the best way, very mature and advanced for his age. The thing is, I don't think it's been discussed between them at all. I think she may have just assumed. When we separated, he insisted that I keep the house and that I didn't need to buy him out. The house belonging to me is ironclad. I just got nervous and blurted out that we'd discuss it because her son was there. Maria doesn't like living in his man cave, which, yeah, being a single divorced man, it's expected. So OP's home that OP has spent time and money on since the divorce, she feels is more suitable. So now wants OP and her kids to leave? Nope. OP should definitely not hide this from her ex, as it'll cause more issues down the line if it comes out later, or if Maria knows she can push OP around and she won't tell him. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Superb Space 7318 says, "Not the a-hole. Your ex-husband should be the one having the conversation, so you absolutely need to share this with him. Weird that the 9-year-old has a better emotional gauge than his mom, though." OK Mode 2038 says, "Not the a-hole. Yeah, this needs to be discussed with your ex. You don't have to approach it as being concerned, though, if you don't think that'll go well. Just be like, by the way, this conversation occurred, and I'm not sure how you want to handle explaining to her that this is my house, and I won't be moving out." Mermaid 2 says, "Not the a-hole. If she isn't pregnant yet, it sounds like she will be soon. She said your place is too big for a family of 3. But Maria, your ex, her son, and a new baby would number 4 people. And perhaps she has plans for an even larger family. If your ex does not want more children, you might want to talk to him ASAP. That might be why Maria's son didn't want you to contact him." Update. I procrastinated bringing up what Maria said, and basically told myself to assume the best intentions. Awkward curiosity. My thought process was that it's my home, and she'll have to cart me out of here on the back of a hearse. I admit I was also nervous about raining on his happiness, and did not want to be perceived as a bitter ex. The kids had a grand time at camp, and a month or so ago later, we had family dinner with both sets of grandparents. My ex brought Maria, and it started out great. Everyone welcomed Maria and her son. Maria was helping me finish up dessert in the kitchen, and I was patting myself on the back for the goop-level blended family dynamic when she made an off-the-cuff comment about how she'd host parties here. X came in with the kids, overheard, and asked, "Oh, did OP offer for you to host?" Maria's son just burst into tears and started apologizing. It was genuinely one of the most awkward experiences of my life. Long story short, the entire family has learned that X had a vasectomy after divorce and is not looking to remarry anytime soon. Afterwards, I talked to him about the previous interaction, along with showing him the text messages. They're no longer together. I'm worried about Maria's son, although I recognize it's not my place. Unsure what I can do there. Edit. Some people asked why I laughed, haha, at the end of my edit that I owned half his condo. It was mainly out of uncontrollable irony. X is extremely driven and brilliant in his career, but disorganized in life.
I am 36 and engaged to my girlfriend, 24, of 1 year. We have been engaged for 2 weeks now. I am a widower. I was married to my first wife for 11 years, from age 23 to 34. She died almost exactly 2 years ago from a car accident. I was in a really bad place after her death. We also have 4 kids, currently aged 4 to 11, and I was overwhelmed trying to raise them as a single dad. My current fiancé used to be my eldest daughter's piano teacher. We started dating a year ago. I care for her deeply, as she is a very loving and nurturing person who would make a great mother for my kids. The kids really like her as well and get along great. So, leading up to the wedding, my fiancé is moving in with me. In the master bedroom, there is a walk-in closet which contains my wife's clothes and other personal items. She was a fashionable woman and owned a lot of nice things. I haven't gotten around to cleaning it out and never really wanted to anyways. I told my fiancé she could store some of her clothes in there if there was space. Yesterday, she was unpacking her things in the master bedroom and I walked in, finding her trying on a dress that belonged to my wife. Scattered around her were more clothes that belonged to my wife, like handbags and shoes. I asked my fiancé what she was doing, and she just said, "Oh, I was trying on some clothes. No harm in it." I told her to clean up the clothes immediately, and in my anger, I said, "You're stretching out the dress." Then my fiancé started crying. I immediately regretted my words. I mean, my wife was tall and a size 0, while my fiancé is not, which is not an issue, but I knew how it sounded. I apologized, but my fiancé was obviously quite hurt, and nothing I said seemed to help. She said I was being an a-hole and that I hurt her feelings by lashing out at her. That being said, I know I shouldn't have implied that she was fat, but am I the a-hole for being pissed at my fiancé for trying on my dead wife's clothes without my permission? OP's fiancé was thoughtless and tacky for trying on OP's former wife's clothing. OP shouldn't have blurted out what he did. She's going to be living in OP's former wife's shadow anyway, so OP should not make it worse. But the most concerning thing here is that OP's former wife's clothing is still in the closet, and OP told his future wife that she can put her belongings in there only if there was space. OP's home is now her home. Yet OP is not allowing her to occupy the closet because OP cannot remove his former wife's belongings. That is not fair. If OP can't bear to put his former wife's items in storage, which can be done by professionals to ensure the nicer items remain intact, then OP isn't ready for a new marriage. It's not fair to his fiancé. OP cares for her. OP's kids love her. But does OP? Is he in love with her? If the honest answer is no, OP needs to take a big step back. I recently broke off an engagement due to my ex being a cheating W. The ring I wore during the engagement was an heirloom willed to me by my late grandmother. It is traditional in my family that this ring is passed to the eldest daughter, and my mother had been keeping it safe for me until I found the one. My ex knew this and asked for it when he asked for my mother's permission to propose. She gave it to him, and he had possession of it for less than 24 hours before he proposed. Now that we've broken up, he's demanding that I give him back the ring. He's insistent that Alabama law makes it illegal for me to keep the ring, that in the event that the engagement ends, the ring must be returned to the man, period. I looked into it, and all I can find is that the ring belongs to whomever paid for it. When I told him this, he told me that I don't have any claim on the ring, since I didn't purchase it. I was only willed it, and that the fact that it was willed to me is irrelevant, since my mother gave it to him. He's demanding that I return the ring and any information I have about the insurance policy on it. It's extremely old and much more valuable than your average K jeweler's piece. He said if I don't return the ring by Monday, he'll sue me for it or its value in court. Can he seriously do this? This ring has been in my family since the 19th century. Does he really own it simply because A, he's a male, or B, it sat in his pocket for less than a day? Would the fact that my mother was only storing it for me to keep it safe maintain the surprise of an engagement matter? It wasn't hers to give away. OP's ex is acting emotionally in an effort to try to hurt OP. OP should not let him do it. But I'd also keep the ring hidden away someplace. Emotional people don't always make the best decisions. Update. I don't have a thrilling update for you. A lot of you warned me to be on the lookout for him trying to take back the ring himself, which my family and friends were also worried about. I'm very blessed to come from a large family, so on Monday afternoon, a few of my male cousins, second cousins, concerned family friends, and their firearms came to my apartment to keep me company. My female cousins didn't want to be left out, so they came too. Several of them were also toting firearms. Through a garbled family phone tree, one of my uncles completely misconstrued the purpose of the family gathering at Ring Throwaway 1010's house and arrived bearing a case of liquor and a massive public sheet cake. My grandfather eventually showed up with his banjo and some beautiful pictures of my grandmother wearing the ring in question. As you can imagine, this turned into one of our better parties. And congratulations on not marrying an a-hole party will live on in family lore. Since my original post, I've gotten a lot of extremely nice messages and calls from my ex's family, all of whom are currently not speaking to him. His brother called me the day after the table incident to ask what happened, and I told him the truth, which I can only assume was passed around. His dad assured me that my ex won't be trying to sue me for the ring, and told me that if I ever hear from my ex again, I should call his dad, and he will bring the pain. He also sent me a gift card for several $100s to Home Depot in case I ever want to make a better table for a better man. Hopefully, that will be the last thing about this breakup that makes me cry. I also got an STI screening, which turned out negative. My gyno said that everything looked perfect, absolutely pristine. So I may not be getting married in 3 months, but at least I have a pristine G. My husband and I, 27 female, 30 male, just had our first baby. Yay! The pregnancy and delivery were incredibly hard on me. I ended up being induced early, and then had a nightmarish labor and delivery that ended in an emergency C-section. Right from the get-go, I was getting pestered by my mother-in-law about breastfeeding. I was astounded, since I considered it to be a private topic. I kept answers vague as possible, but it was clear that I was having a difficult time. She didn't know all the details, but she knew that I had a horrible experience and was having a rough time recovering. I also just wasn't producing enough milk and had to supplement with formula. She was constantly telling me multiple times per day about her breastfeeding experience. I heard countless times about how her nipples bled, but she pushed through it and fed her babies because her breast milk was so rich and delicious, and how her babies were all late and fat. This was especially hard for me to listen to, considering my baby needed to come early, and she was pretty small in those early stages. My OBGYN ended up telling me to stop breastfeeding since it was inhibiting my recovery. Something to do with the hormones that come from nursing. I don't fully understand it, but I did heal much faster after I quit. I was terrified to tell mother-in-law, and with good reason. Her nagging seemed to only get worse after I told her. She just couldn't understand how any mother could choose to deprive their child. From there, she started finding small things to harp on constantly. I rarely, if ever, heard a positive word from her regarding my maternity. Finally, one day I'd had enough. I was on the phone with a friend and I knew that mother-in-law was on her way to come see the baby. I knew that she was most likely outside when I loudly said to my friend, "I don't know why this is still a topic of conversation. The breastfeeding is long gone and I wasn't able to do it, and that's it." I'm happy mother-in-law's babies flew out of her V like it was a slip and slide, and then breastfed exclusively with her super rich boob juice. But I cannot do it, and I'm so tired of that being unacceptable. I'm doing everything I can, and I can't listen to it anymore. Mother-in-law came in a minute later, looking a little upset. I then got a call from my father-in-law after her visit about how I shouldn't have sassed mother-in-law so badly, and how I could have spoken to her in a reasonable manner. The issue with that is that speaking to her reasonably never worked. I feel bad now that I've upset her. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She needed to hear it. I hate it when people think they know best about your body, your baby, and your situation. She just overheard, so that's on her. Good for OP.